in this talk, I'm going to talk about Postgres extensions. My name is Devrim Gunduz. I work for EDB. I have several titles that I don't know, but last time I checked, I was Postgres expert. I don't know what expert means, but anyway. Yeah. So this is my LinkedIn and Instagram, and I'm on Blue Sky. I have some appearance on formerly Twitter, then called X. I'm no longer posting them, so for good reasons. So let you know. So don't expect a happy story in this presentation. So I'm not here. Thank you. I'm not here to talk about saying that everything is great, because everything is not. Okay? And this talk will be mainly focused on those stuff. If you have any questions, please raise your hands. At the end of the talk, I will have a few minutes for extra couple of questions as well. So I'm one of the Postgres major contributors. I'm responsible for the Postgres official community RPM. So if you are using Postgres on Reddit, Fedora, Slash, Alma Linux, Rocky Linux, I'm the one who does the RPMs. I also contribute to Fedora and Rocky Linux. I've been using Postgres in 1998. I'm the guy with the Postgres tattoo. So there is a real tattoo, it's not a painting over there. Yeah, I hope they don't change the logo every year. Yeah, and I live in London, and then I live in Istanbul, I live in Chicago, and I live in the airport lounges. I took more showers in the airport lounges than I took the showers in my home, so we'll see. And sometimes I DJ, you know. Yeah, I do. So anyway, so I'm going to start with the history of the extensions first, and then continue with the introduction, and then the issues, which is the main part of the stuff, and then the favorite extensions and all the things about RPM. So the question is, are you using Postgres extensions? Are you using Postgres? Okay, good. Who's using Postgres extensions? Okay, the talk is, the target of the talk is to increase the usability of, not usability, but users of the extension. So yeah, everyone says they are using extension. So, you know, I have a trademarked, not trademarked, but you get copyrighted stuff. So everyone is a PG statements fan, even if they're not. Even us Oracle guys, they're a big fan of PG statements, right? They do. So what did we have in the past? I mean, in the past, we had something called contrib modules. We still have them, but the names is different. So contrib modules are the things, the extensions, or the like software, let's say, which is in the Postgres tarball, but in their own directory, which is a contrib module. So they're included in the tarball. They could do new data types, new operators, new functions, new indexes. So there are multiple things that can be done or added, I should say, with the Postgres extensions or contrib modules. And they are not in core, but they are not out of the core. So for example, if you are using the Postgres RPMs, all of these contrib modules are in a separate package because of historical reasons. But if you are using the APT, I mean, Debian Ubuntu packages, they are included in the main package. So there's a bit of discussion or a bit history over there. So they have their own individual installation scripts and uninstallation scripts. That was what we had in the past when we didn't have the extension stuff. It was the same thing, extension underscore name.sql, not SQL, sorry. And then uninstall extension name.sql. And of course, there were some versioning issues, dependency issues which cannot be resolved immediately. I'm going to talk about those dependencies later in my talk. And it's hard to get a new one into core. I mean, I may be wrong though, but the last one that went from the contrib modules into the core was T-Search 2. The full text search was the last one. I think it was about 15 years ago. So that's how it's done. And then there were some external contrib modules, which is not maintained inside the Postgres tarball or Postgres, say, core team, core developers. Sorry. And then external developments, they had the similar installation stuff, same problems, and then we have Postgres extension build system called PGXS. That's still being used widely, and this is the main of how we build extensions. And then Postgres meets extensions. It was 13 and a half years ago. It was September 2011 when we first met with the extension concept. I mean, in 1.0 release. The title was, the commit was packaging of external objects. And then I would like to give a tribute to our lovely Simon Rickson here. He said, it makes it easier to add and remove plugins, data type, functions with minimum fuss, and without needing to compile things yourself. So this was one of the main motivations of adding extensions to Postgres. And then, as I told you, contrib modules became extensions, but they are still in the contrib directory for lots of historical reasons. So how everything is done, there's a control file. For every extension, when you install an extension, there is a control file. And it does the checking, dependency checking, with the control file. So basically, it's the extension owner's responsibility to control the dependency. So what was dependency? So let's say if you want to use PG wait sampling extension, it requires PG set statements, right? So it means when you install that one, the other extension must be installed as well. I'll get there. It's basically C code. There was a discussion about this a few hours ago, like not in one of our talks, but there was a discussion about this. We treat the C code extension as the first world citizen, and then the others as fifth world citizen, whatever the word number is over there. And there is a SOAP file, mostly. There are some SQL commands, control file, etc. So as I told you earlier, there are lots of extensions which are included in the Postgres tarball. So there is a list. By the way, you will be able to find the video recording online if you are taking notes on Skill. And the presentation will be available on my website. If you Google, you will find it in some other conferences as well. So I think I gave the same talk in PG Day Med in December. So you should be able to find the slides as well. So yeah, back to control file. So if you have any questions, please raise your hands. I'm happy to take any questions, but again, I will have a session at the end of the talk. So control file control file includes a few properties of the extension. This name is extension name.control. So that control file currently as of Postgres 17, this may slightly change maybe later on, but it must exist under the extensions directory in the Postgres installation. So if you are using RPMs or Debian packaging or some other Windows packaging, macOS packaging, it doesn't matter. There is a separate directory, and Postgres looks there for now. It may change in the future. Anyway. And they must be separately available for every Postgres major version. So what does it mean? So if you're running Postgres 15, and if you're using Firebird FTW, for example, you have Firebird FTW for Postgres 15. But if you want the same extension for Postgres 17, you need to install the binaries or whatever required, or files, I should say, for Postgres 17. So they must be available for each Postgres version separately. You cannot use an extension built against Postgres 15 on Postgres 17. Okay? So this is basically often handled by the package maintainers. So if you are using one of those PGDG repos that I mentioned earlier, like AP3 repo or PM repo, they are just mentioned anyway. I'll get there again. There is a slide for that one. And then if there's a dependency tracking, it's done in the extension control file. For example, this is the H3 Postgres control file. There is a line that starts with requires. It says H3, Postgres, and Postgres raster. So to be able to use this extension, you need the other extensions as well. Okay, I mean install. That's easy. When you create, I'll get there. When you say create extension, and when you say cascade, it will bring up those dependencies if available, and then install them for you. But if available, it shouldn't be a problem in many of the cases because the package maintainers already take care of those dependencies for you. So there are some SQL scripts, and there are some installation, upgrade scripts, and also uninstallation scripts as well. So they are under the extension directory for now. So if you want to see the list of Postgres, all the available Postgres extensions, I think this is misleading. I mean, this view is quite misleading because PG available extensions means available on the instance. So it doesn't mean all the available in the world. Okay. So it means so if you want to install something, if it's there, then you can install that one. It's PG underscore available underscore extensions. And then there's another view called PG available underscore extension versions. They are the versions of the extensions available over there. So the first version of this talk was 5 minutes. 5. Very original version. It was a lightning talk in, as far as I remember, 2 years ago in New York conference. And it was about a packager struggling for doing extension packaging because I'm actually, I'm a community person. I get paid for the community work. I don't do anything else. So it means all of my life is actually based on this stuff. So that's where one of the problems start to arise because they are everywhere. They're on GitHub, GitLab, likely, and then Ostgeo, Gitea, and then PGXN, and then SourceForge, and then Postgres Git repo. I'll get there. I'll skip there. Sorry, that one. PI. There are some extensions over there. Some extensions, they have their own websites. They are not in any of them. There are some on big buckets, and then there is one more. Laptops. Yeah. Some people do not even share the code on any Git repo or SVN or CVS, whatever, I don't care, repo. Yes, I was serious when I was talking about an extension developed on a laptop. So, and then this is a real-world example. I'm not going to give the name. I don't want to point out to an FTW developed by someone which connects to a database called D, starts with D, but I'm not going to give the full name. This was on 2018 on GitHub, but then there is a version which has been released last year. So what I did was, there is no recent commit, so I also order. I asked the order, please show me where the source code is. This is what I got. They said sources and a zip package included. Okay, thank you. Well, I was looking for some other reasons, but like Git repo and etc. And I asked the same question, and this was the response by the extension order. He said, your tone, this is his typo, seems that you think you are my boss, which you are not. Okay, I'm not your boss. I'm just a poor Postgres packager who's trying to make your extension usable to the community. Okay. So we have another problem. Is this all? No. Let's move on. Then we have to support multiple platforms, right? Because sometimes then suddenly Fedora 41 renames a package. So our extension stops building and also running. So we have to write an if condition. This is the old version, but you get the idea. This is only available in 39, and this is different in 40. So we get 2 lines for this one, the same dependency. And it's different on Red Hat 8, and it's different on SUSE. Right? Please.
Is this the control file syntax?
So the question was, is it the control file syntax? No, it is the RPM spec file. It's the our stuff that does the dependency stuff while building the extension. So, you know, everyone has a great idea, right? We are in the open source world, right? We have a problem. We have a problem that we all have great ideas. And we want to develop our own idea without, I mean, of course, we could integrate our idea to an existing software, but why? I mean, I need to have a separate stuff. That's pretty much welcome. That's why we have billions of window managers on Linux, but only 3 of them are being used, mostly. Users say, yeah, that's a great idea. Okay, so it works like a charm. Let's deploy it to the production. And we deploy that great extension, that great idea to production. And then, okay, now there's a new Postgres release and it doesn't compile, right? Because upstream, Postgres upstream change a header and or change the signature of a function, so it doesn't compile anymore. That's right, that's doable, that's okay, right? So we expect the extension orders to follow that one, and that we expect for, I mean, even I do expect after like 25 years working with 27 years working with Postgres, I still, in a human way, expect them to follow up the changes and make the changes in the core. And then, as the packagers, like mostly me and Christoph, the RPM, the APT packager, we pester them. There's any Postgres release and it doesn't compile. So users complain, packagers complain, and then developer says, no response at all. And then just a week before or a few days before the release, hey, Postgres 17.0 will be released next week. Can you please do something? Users say, okay, well, 17.0 is out. Please, we want to upgrade, but we can't upgrade. Knock, knock. There is nothing from developer. So basically, non-responsive maintainers is a big problem. I mean, as I told you, I would love to show you all the great extensions and how extensions are great in the Postgres community, but they're not. I mean, they are great, don't get me wrong, please use them, but we still have some problems. So my point is make sure they are well maintained and you can access, or something is doable anyway. So it's a major problem. You have something which you use in production, you are happy, it's a great feature, but it gets stalled because you cannot upgrade because the developer cannot do anything, or they don't accept any patches. I may give you an example about that one, which I won't give the name, but yeah, recently, yesterday, they released a new version which works against Postgres 17. Like, oh, okay, we could have waited 4 more years until 17 is end of life, right? Some good people send a pull request, but those are really closed. You can fork, of course, but why would I fork? Just review the patch. Someone wrote the patch, just review and commit or reject or do something. So it's not good for the users. So people use Postgres because Postgres is awesome. I have a tattoo. I haven't used any other databases, except I use that database called PostgreSQL or MySQL, whatever, because I was married back then. So my wife has a website with WordPress. Yeah, so I had to use MySQL, but that was enough. I got divorced anyway, so because I couldn't stop using. That's the only way that I found to stop using MySQL. Anyway, I'm kidding. So it's not good for the users. It's not good for the community. It's not good for the packagers, right? Yeah, I may be paid for full-time for packaging it, but it doesn't help me at all. So as a packager, that's me. So how is my life? Oh, sorry, that's the wrong slide. Sorry, sorry, wrong slide, sorry. Sorry, someone hacked my slides. Anyway, Yeah, sometimes we do some actual work. Yeah. Yeah, so I can easily talk about espresso martini doesn't have martini, right? That's a valuable information. Many people think espresso martini is contains martini, but it doesn't. Like, it's a great information as well, but you don't have to use Postgres to know this information. Anyway, so it's a lot of work. We have apt-based distros, RPM-based distros, Windows and macOS, basically. And then we have some other, like Gentoo has a nice packager nowadays, which does the packaging stuff for Gentoo. With Gentoo and package, it's, I don't know, something else. Anyway, so let the breakage begin. Let's start breaking, right? I love breakages. So there's a Postgres release, and there is a new GCC version. So, in every new GCC version, there's a new warning, or there's a new compiler error. So we expect also the extension orders to follow up with the GCC stuff as well. Do you think that's enough? No, because then we have new LLVM version. In each LLVM major version, there is something to track. And if you are using Reddit or one of its derivatives, I'm sure that you already know that they release a new LLVM and GCC version every 6 months. So in every 6 months, we are broken. So let me tell you how broken we are. Reddit loves us. You know, we have lots of good relationships with Reddit since forever. And to do us a favor, they release their minor versions, say 9.5, 9.4, 8.9, whatever, 1 day before our new minor release day. So basically, they expect us to rebuild everything in a single day from scratch with the new LLVM and everything. Thank you. So see, there's another problem. So you expect it to work, but when you upgrade, it will be broken. It's not broken thanks to the packagers or other people working in the community, but that's it. So then there's a new dependency version. So this new extension versions only works against something which is only available in Fedora 45, which we released 2 years later, right? So it's not that easy. So for every Postgres major release, before every Postgres release, we start a new wiki page, which lists, actually it's a hall of shame, which lists all the extensions that doesn't build or work against the new major version. And believe me, the first months are crazy, because nothing works. Fortunately, in the nowadays, it's much better. But this is how we do. This is how I contribute to GitHub. Ping, 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 ping. Just, as I told you, these are real-world examples. I'm not making them up. And unfortunately, to be honest, so the same content was about 14 or 15 extensions. I don't remember the actual number, to be honest. When Postgres 17.0 was released, and there were some major extensions out there, and developed by the Postgres companies or cloud companies that support Postgres. Okay, I mean, you expect them to provide more up-to-date support to the extensions. Like, I mean, I can give the names. It doesn't matter at that point. But all the Postgres companies and all the cloud companies, I expect them to do some timely releases. They don't. And then these are the only 2 extensions left for now, but we still have 2 for Postgres 17. And then there are some other nice extension orders. So as Magnus stated in his talk, which was the first talk today, we have daily snapshots, and then we have betas, and then we have release candidates, and then we have final release, right? So basically, when we have beta, we are more or less in the freeze section. It doesn't mean freeze, but we are more or less in the freeze section. So I asked one of those FTW orders, which start with SQLite, and they said, please can you please add support for Postgres 17 because it's already in RC at that point. So they say it works fine, the source code is not published yet. We plan to release after Postgres 17 was released. Why? Why would you release something after Postgres 17.0 was released? It's not good for the users. This disrespect for the users, from my point of view. So what did I do? Espresso martini? Guinness? Yeah. I got to Chicago like every other month to listen to blues because I don't care. And then I sent a tweet. Please complain to the extension authors, not me, because I just built the tarball. I cannot do anything else. And I gave the link that I showed you. Go complain to them. Don't complain to me. Don't create tickets in our issue tracker. So let's start with the installing the extensions. To install an extension, you should first need to make it available on your operating system. Currently, it's being on Linux. It's being done with the root user. So you have to have the root user because you need to write under the USI directory to be able to install an extension. Okay. So this is the only way currently, again, for an extension. So you can install the binary packages, or you can compile from the source, or you can do the other installation options. Some of them may require them to be added to shared preload libraries to be able to be installed. No worries, even if you don't know, the extension will let you know. In this specific case, if you want to create an extension called Citus, it will say Citus can only be loaded via shared preload libraries. So it tells you you cannot create the extension because it's not available in shared preload libraries. That's good, right? Which is great. So you go there and make the change, restart the server, and then start using Citus. Great. And then they may require dependencies to be installed, but as I told you, the package maintainers deal with the problem, so you shouldn't be worried about that one at least. So you can create the extension. You can create the extension, let's say Citus. That should be enough for most cases. Or you can use a cascade if the extension has some dependencies, which is OK. And or you can say install it to a specific schema if you want to restrict that functions to a specific schema. By default, I think they're all installed in public schema. Oh, that schema name is actually also written in the control file. So basically, the extension knows where to be installed by default. And as I told you, if you want to install H3 Postgres extension, it says required extension is not installed, and it gives you a hint. So if you do the hint, it will install the dependencies for you. So as long as you know as long as you see the procedures and you know the procedures, don't worry. You don't have to memorize. Postgres is going to tell you how to do things. So it's actually usable from that point of view. Or just read it. This is what I did recently in yum.postgresql.org. This is one of my major projects that I have done in the last few years. So if you go to yum.postgresql.org/extensions, it's all actually listed. There's a link at the top left for that one. There's a new website called, there's a page called Extension How To. So basically, for every extension that we have as an RPM, I think we have more than 130. I may be wrong though. For about 100 extensions that we have, I wrote documentation how to install, how to configure, and some parameters that could be useful for you, some GUC parameters, right? So that's a basic starting point of view. That website could be your basic starting point of view. First of all, if you want to know how an extension is installed, or my main motivation was, if you want to learn which extensions are available in Postgres. Because one of the most common feedback that I got about this website was, I didn't know that such feature exists for Postgres. So let's make all of our lives easier and read it and use it. So updating an extension is a challenge. It's a big challenge. First of all, you have to install the updated extension. When I say install, I'm talking about installing via the package manager. Windows or macOS or RPMs or apt package, it doesn't matter. Install the extension, updated extension. So then we have a problem. The problem is the running code, which is loaded by Postmaster or Postgres, whatever, is still using the old one. But on the file system, we have a new one. Currently, there is no way to overcome this problem. Maybe in the future, we can fix that one. But the unwritten policy is just please restart your instance or whatever, update your extension as soon as possible with alter extension update. And which some extension may not need this, because if there is nothing to be updated, then that's fine, by the way. So you will get a message like this. Version is already installed, so there is no upgrade path, which is fine. So there are. I told you about this one. Uninstalling an extension is is another thing that's done easily. You just say drop extension. So when you want to uninstall an extension, you can say drop extension, but still. You may want to remember how you installed an extension. So, for example, as I told you, for Citus, if it is in the shared preload libraries, you have to remove that one as well and restart your instance. Okay. So you remember how you installed. Just do the reverse way while uninstalling an extension for the safest option. So we also have the cascade for managing the dependencies. So let's talk about the favorite extension, which is going to be one of the last parts of this talk. PL/PGSQL is the only default extension in Postgres. So it's an extension, but it's installed by default. You can argue that it's not an extension, but it is technically. And then we have PL Python, we have PL Perl, we have PL Tcl. I was told not to talk about PL Java today, but I will. There's PL Java as well. But there is, I'm not saying you can use it, but there is PL Java, PL Lua, PL Bash. So if you are using some shell scripts in Postgres, it's doable. PL R is great. It utilizes R language for statistical purposes. Yeah, there is JavaScript, but the comment was there is also PL JavaScript. The reason that I didn't mention it here, to be able to build PL V8, it's called PL V8, you have to download the whole internet. So if you want to build them, it downloads something from there, something from there, something from there. As far as I remember, it's like a few gigabytes to download everything, so I'm not doing this. That's why you cannot find a pre-built package of PL/V8, which is not an extension, but not their programming languages. But we have PL/PGSQL check for checking your PL/PGSQL code, and PL Profiler for also profiling your PL/PGSQL codes. And we have Postgres. I was speaking to Magnus on our way to Pasadena yesterday. What's your favorite extension? Everyone's favorite extension is PGS statements, right? Other than, even if you don't use it, we also respect the Postgres maintainers because they are defining the standards in the JS world. They are doing an awesome job while working on Postgres. So it's a JS extender for Postgres, and the website is, it's an extension. The reason of this line is, it's too big. It's a great, it's not just a small extension, it's a big one. And I love PG routing. Everyone I mention about Postgres, I also love talking about PG routing. PG routing extends Postgres. So it's an extension to an extension, basically. It's with routing and network analysis functions. It has lots of routing algorithms. It's available in many packaging formats. It depends on SQL and Boost. That's our problem. Well, sometimes your problem as well while installing them. And this is the website. PG routing is a great way if you are to add some routing. I think there's at least one user that's shaking head. I can see it from here. PG routing is great. PG statements. It's a must install for everyone. If you don't agree, just agree. It should be installed by default to every Postgres database that you have.
Why isn't it by default?
Why it is not there by default? As I told you, going from contrib or extension into the core is another process. In the past, there was a reason that it had some it had some overhead, but it's not there anymore. So yeah, and you know we have to make money, right? Yeah, it's just how do we have a problem? You know, as a Postgres consultant, we have to make money. So we have a problem. How can we solve this problem? Please install PG statements first. And we made some money, right? Yeah. So you know, in the AI world, you know, I was checking the talks. Everyone talks about AI, right? And so I had to talk. I was told to add some slides about PG vector so that I can get paid. I'm kidding. I'm not serious. So PG vector is a vector simulated search for Postgres. It stores your vectors with the rest of your data. There is a PG vector talk, I think, tomorrow, right? Yeah, tomorrow. There's a PG vector talk, so you can please see them. Oh, PG Partman. This is one of my most favorite extensions. PG, so partitioning in Postgres is awesome. I love partitioning in Postgres, but there's a problem, it's not usable. I mean, it's usable in terms of from user point of view. I mean, the underline is great, but to maintain creating new partitions, maintaining them, and like doing some data aging, etc., is something. So everything is handled by this great extension called PG Partman. I mean, it's like a PG statements for me. For everyone who's using PG partitioning in Postgres, for every installation, these are default because there is nothing else that you can do. Otherwise, you can write your own scripts. Of course, you can maintain. But this is, by using this, it's done everything by default. Just use a cron job, and it's done. Everything is maintained automatically. It works great. Just you have to read a few examples for sure, but then the rest is just easy. And the good thing is, it's being actively developed. It's very actively developed, like very actively developed. So feel free to use it. Citus. It's horizontal scaling for Postgres. It does sharding and replication. It's a great feature if you want to scale Postgres horizontally. It's 100% open source. I think it's it's developed by Microsoft, so it's a great addition to Postgres. And then we have timescale DB. So if you are using the time series database, that's an extension. Some part of it is open source. Some part is source is open, but not open source licensed. Okay, so there are two parts of timescale DB. Just to let you know. And there is PG audit. PG audit is a it does the auditing for Postgres. So if you are using Postgres and if you need some auditing, PG audit is the only way of doing things. And I didn't mention it here, but it kills your log files. So there is another extension called PG audit log to file, which actually does the other logging work for you. So make sure that you install both PG audit and PG audit log to file to be able to manage the overhead caused by PG audit logging. And there are some foreign data wrappers. Foreign data wrappers are awesome. This is one of the reasons, I have lots of reasons to love Postgres, because I love the elephant anyway. And seriously speaking, FTWs are great. And these are one of the main great features in Postgres. So you can connect to Postgres easily, and then Oracle. You can connect to your Oracle database and get data from there, actually read and write. TDS FTW is for SQL Server and Sybase. So basically, you can connect to those databases within Postgres. You can connect to MySQL and MariaDB with Postgres within HDFS to the Hadoop file system. Mongo FTW to that Mongo database. SQLite FTW, if you are going to connect to SQLite from Postgres, that's also doable. Firebird. Both of these two, JDBC and ODBC, are generic drivers that you can connect to any JDBC or ODBC data source. That's doable within Postgres. OGR FTW is for GIS users. PGBouncer FTW is awesome. If you are using PGBouncer, it simplifies the management of or viewing of some views of Postgres, PGBouncer. And then File FTW. File FTW is the CSV files that you can manage, not manage, but you can read the data from Postgres. There are lots of extensions in here. I mean, Postgres is very extendable. I mean, everyone like HLL. This is one of those interesting extensions. H3PG, HypoPG. If you want, HypoPG is used for creating hypothetical indexes. So if you want to create if you are thinking about creating an index, but if you are not sure about its impact to the performance, just use HypoPG, create it like in a hypothetical way, test your query. If it works, then you can create the index, right? Which is great. We have Multicorn. It's like FTW, basically. You have PG cron. It's like PG agent. Like you can use crons within Postgres. These are the Oracle compatibility stuff. You can run some background stuff with Postgres. You can, I mean, there are lots of PG repack is another de facto that repacks your tables. There is no alternative, so it's not the best, but there is incremental view maintenance in here. PGNet contains the internet and gets some data. There are lots of examples. PG temporal tables, it's like Oracle temporal tables. There are lots of things that you can use with Postgres. There are PG read-only, which makes your database read-only. PG hint plan. So just to let you know, which was spread, I think, in the last couple of weeks with LinkedIn, there is no query hints in Postgres. Okay, there is no query hints in Postgres. Some people claimed, I learned that some people claimed that there is Postgres hints are available since Postgres 12, and those people actually show the fake code in LinkedIn, which is what I was told. But you can use some hints by using this extension, and don't. Because the original approach of the Postgres project is, don't think that you are smarter than Postgres. If you think you are smarter than Postgres, it means you found a bug. Just let us know and we will fix it, right? This is a like very modern way of dealing with open source. PG statement rollback is like Oracle's statement-based rollback feature. PG memcache is memcache for Postgres. PG Sodium is crypto functions for Postgres. PL debugger, I mean, there are lots of extensions that you can use within Postgres. So I think I have 5 minutes or? Yeah. So first of all, thank you for coming to this talk. I appreciate it. I came from Istanbul and London all the way to here. I never regretted this in the last 3 years because it's lovely to see the great people are coming to listen to Postgres talks, and thanks for joining us. Just to let you know, we have Ask Me Anything session at 5 p.m. as far as I remember, the last session. I was told. So please join us, because that will be Ask Me Anything, not me, but Ask Us Anything session. So if you have any questions about Postgres, please join us. So if you have any questions, it's the right time for them. Please.
Sorry, if you have a question, please wait for the mic. We are recording the room, so just a moment.
Devrim, you mentioned that PGSS in the past had overhead, but you...
I can't hear you.
Can you hear me now? Better?
Yeah.
Okay. You said that PGSS in the past had overhead, but then you mentioned in passing that that's no longer the case. Could you
So which
elaborate?
one? PG?
PG stat statements?
Yeah. It used to have, I mean, in the very past, like 15 years ago.
So should I understand that there is no overhead?
Nothing is no overhead. So the question
That
is,
was a trick question, right?
So the question is, PG statements has an overhead, but it does, so do I mean that it doesn't have an overhead? It's negligible. Of course, everything has an overhead, but it's negligible nowadays, in the last 10 years or so, maybe more. Follow-up? Sure.
So I understand that in the past, the overhead was correlated to obviously the amount of queries that are being issued. Is that still the case? Is that still a correlation between the heft of the workload that Postgres has to incur and the overhead from Postgres?
I think, I don't remember the history, to be honest. Does anyone know the answer? How we got rid of the overhead of PG statements?
I won't pursue, thank you.
Okay, sorry. I mean, I remember a few things, but they are vague. Like I told you, it's been 15 years or so. There is another question from gentleman over there.
So I have an extension I want to release. What am I supposed to do here? I've got to support 5 different versions of Postgres, 4 different operating systems, different versions of these operating systems, 2 different architectures, ARM and x86. Should I just make everybody compile from source, or is there some other option?
So you are not tequila. You cannot make everyone happy, first of all. You don't have to support all the Postgres versions. I mean, some people start with, say, as of today, I'm going to start with Postgres 15, 16, and 17. That's all. Then it makes their lives easier. And yes, you may have to worry about some GCC versions as well, because if you want to say, I want to support Red Hat 8 and Red Hat 9 and upcoming Red Hat 10, that may be a slight challenge. May not be. I'm not a hacker, so I don't know the actual answers. But yeah, you may have to support multiple compilers, or you may easily say, I'm not going to support anything below GCC 11, up to you. And then for the platform support, yes, you should support ARM and x64. I'm not going to say you should support PPC, PowerPC. That's not required that much. But yeah, you should do this. So what should I do? Just publish your code on internet. Make sure that they can be compiled. But don't worry about the dependencies. That's our responsibility. But make sure, so if you are depending on some zlib version, which is recently released, it means we cannot push the package to Red Hat 8 or Red Hat 9 or some Debian 10 or whatever, old versions. So it's up to you, actually, as a package maintainer or extension maintainer, which operating systems or which distros you would like to support. Then the rest is our problem, in terms of the packagers' problem.
Okay, so let's assume that I take the time to write a script to do 16 different versions of this thing. Then how should I distribute it? Just let people download it, or do I need to do RPMs, or what's the best way to package it?
What many people do is go to PostgreSQL.org, submit a news item. I can suggest you submitting a news item saying that I wrote an extension and it does this for you, and here's a download URL and something. And then you can also contact the package maintainers. They are all well listed on the internet. You can contact me or Christoph or anyone about the packagers, and then we can package that one for you.
You're going to do it for me?
No, just let us know. Yeah, that's what we are paid for. And then it will be distributed via our official channels. Or, sorry, some people do their packaging with Fedora and EPAL or Debian itself without working with us. That's okay. But I would prefer we doing the actual job anyway.
All right, thank you.
More questions? Just a second.
Hi, I noticed that we have a lot of different languages coming out for PLs to write different extensions, and I've heard people writing extensions in Rust. For things like Golang with Cgo, what defines like what languages get to be Postgres extensions and which ones don't? It's like our team, like they don't know really anything except like Go and Java, basically.
Yeah, I was hoping no one would ask the question. To be honest, that's why I didn't include anything about Rust and Go in my slides. So I'm talking from the packaging point of view, first of all. I'm not talking about Postgres itself, because you can write any extensions with Postgres, against Postgres. Postgres doesn't restrict you using any language, right? You can use Go, Rust, C, C++, whatever what's available for Postgres. That's okay. From packaging point of view, Rust and Go requires lots of extra work so that they can be available in the distributions, because of how Rust works and how Go works. So I would encourage you not to write anything on these languages. This is not a language discussion, first of all. I'm not saying anything negative on these languages. Okay? I'm not a hacker. I don't code. Don't get me wrong. I'm not talking anything negative about any languages. As I told you, I'm speaking as a packager. That's why there is no package, RPM package with Rust and Go in both apt and RPM repos in the official Postgres repos. Again, it's not about the language. It's about how the languages work and how we create the extensions. But again, there's PGRX for Rust, which does the major work for you. You can do it, you can distribute it by yourself, but from the packaging point of view, it's too hard for us. I hope I was clear about the language. I don't want to offend anyone. Right, thank you.
All right, so a question I had was, some of us are forced, I say forced with quotes, to use a provider like AWS RDS. We're using MySQL or Postgres, Aurora Postgres. Something that I've been trying to implement was authentication with Kerberos instead of using localized database users. And unfortunately, I think it's PG_80 map or mapping, I can't remember the full extension, only has a version 15.5, not 15.4, not 3, no 16, not 16. It's not great. So what do we do as users to try and, I don't want to say push the maintainer, but this is strictly coming through. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because I would love to use Kerberos and not use IAM. So, yeah.
Or, it wasn't your question, but you may sometimes, we can extend your question like, I cannot find my favorite extension in my cloud provider. Then don't use cloud. Then sorry.
When you showcased some of the popular extensions, I expected to see something about backup and restore, and you didn't mention any.
Are there any extensions which do the backup and restore thing?
So
PGBackRest is an extension?
right.
Yeah.
I was surprised to not see it in the list. Is that still the
Because it's not an extension. It's not an extension.
Oh, it's not?
It's not. When I say extension, when we say extension, it's called create extension type extension. It's not, we have lots of software around Postgres. Like, for example, PGBackRest is our de facto tool for taking backups of Postgres, right? But it's not an extension.
Right, makes sense.
Yeah.
Any more questions?
All right, so one question. So you encourage use PG Apartment, and you are not the only person who is encouraging it. And I deal with the partition tables a lot, so it is a pain. But my question is the situation with core Postgres is so hopeless, we should not expect significant improvement in partition maintenance in the next X years, because I was honestly hoping that we will have a little bit better support.
I do agree, but again, if we have a patches are welcome. Until then, PG partman. Someone needs to write the patch. I mean, that's the problem. So I think we are over time, or? Okay. Thanks for coming, and hope to see you in the next few talks. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Devrim. Really appreciate it.